Welcome to the Board of Zoning Adjustment, Newell, Minnesota, Tuesday, December 30th, 2014, 4:30 p.m. First item of business is election of officers. We'll look for staff for report here.
Okay, the city code requires the Board of Zoning Adjustment to conduct their election of officers at their first regular meeting in December of each year. The commission's current officers are the chair is Larry Mack, the vice chair is Bob Skillings, and the secretary is Ruth Ann Webster. Bob Skillings has served 2 terms and cannot be reappointed to the board in 2015. As a result, a new vice chair must be elected. Also to be addressed is Larry's membership status on the Board of Zoning Adjustment. This matter should be resolved by the City Council at their January 6, 2015 meeting. Since we only have 3 members here today and that membership issue to be resolved, staff would recommend continuing the election of officers until the board's next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None being said. Next item of business. Approve the minutes of the March 24th, 2014 meeting.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None being said. We'll go to item 3, public hearing to consider the applicant of Paul Warshire on behalf of Senate LLC for a variance to allow a 0 side yard setback between the proposed Lot 1 and Lot 2, Block 1, State Street Theater subdivision, currently described as Block 106, north of Center Street, street address 15 North State Street, New Ulm. We'll look for staff for a report.
Okay, the property is currently zoned R2, which is single and 2-family residence district. Notice of this public hearing has been provided to all property owners adjoining the subject property. So that means anybody living across the street, we have notified of the public hearing. The required side yard setback is 10 feet. Background information on the request. The property is bounded by Center, North State, First North, and North Washington Streets. The property is proposed for platting as State Street Theater subdivision. The proposed plat would divide the block into 2 lots. The common property line between the 2 lots would divide the building into 2 parts. Lot 1 is a proposed location for a residential housing project, and Lot 2 would continue to be used as a theater, auditorium, and parking lot. Approval of the plat is subject to the granting of this variance and the signing of a development agreement. The building accommodates a variety of different uses in separate facility areas. It would be challenging to find an entity interested in purchasing the entire property. I guess what staff is saying there is that, its use as a school, the different parts, all were used for school purposes. Now that the school has been relocated from that site, to find one use that would take the entire building is a challenge, and so dividing the building up into parts seems reasonable, to the staff. The division of the building into 2 ownerships is considered necessary in order to preserve and efficiently utilize the structure. The development agreement will ensure that proper and appropriate policies are in place for the operation and use of the building. Attached is a copy of the application and 2 aerial photographs showing the proposed interior property line. The staff would recommend approval of the variance for the following reasons. The city has granted 0-foot side yard setback variances in the past primarily for twin home structures. 0-foot setbacks are found with many residential housing projects. I would note that most zoning ordinances contain a provision allowing for 0-foot setbacks with residential properties. The city's B3, General Business Zoning District, allows 0-foot front, side, and rear yard setbacks. In this zoning district, it is common to have buildings directly adjoining each other. In some instances, Market Plots Mall being one of them, there are openings that allow the public to move from one property to another. This would be similar to the arrangement proposed for the former middle school property. The city will have an opportunity to review the operational agreements between the two property owners to ensure that appropriate issues are addressed. If you look at page 2 of the application, you'll see a list of standards that are to be used in evaluating the application.
Okay, very good. I guess I got a question for staff. Did we have any concerns from any neighbors surrounding?
Nothing was
Feedback.
expressed to us verbally or in writing.
One question also. Are there any proposed or potential parking issues because we split this off for either one of these? Are there any parking requirements that we have to be concerned about?
Well, when the portion of the building that's going to be devoted to residential use, we do have a parking requirement there of a stall and a half per unit. And so it's our expectation that they would comply with that requirement. Now, in the past, for projects where the primary occupants are seniors, we sometimes have modified our requirements to allow a lesser number of parking stalls. If you look at the Broadway House, St. Michael's Apartments, there's probably a couple other complexes where we've, the Ridgeway projects. But it's my understanding that this is just going to be more of a market rate project. But I guess that's yet to
Well,
be
we're splitting
determined.
off about half of that, more than half of the parking over.
Right. And one of the things I think that you'll see in the development agreement is a provision for each party to use maybe the other's parking, if it's readily available.
Okay.
Any discussion? Anybody from the audience care to want to elaborate? Please step up to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Dan Beekner. I live at 721st North, across the street from the proposed. Is the setback, zero setback between the two buildings, or is this, if it would be an addition going towards the State Street or First North or Washington Street?
Could we invite him to come and look at my picture here?
Sure.
This is the bird's eye view
Yep.
of the building. This is the auditorium.
Mhm.
And so the zero setback is right
Between the two buildings.
between the two.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they were gonna put an addition on here and be
Oh.
allowed a zero or
Mm.
over here.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine, thanks.
Now, if I understood the answer to his question, is we're not doing anything with Center Street or Washington Street or State Street.
Yeah. You-
Just
You,
through
you
the
may
building.
want to, depending upon your recommendation, if it is to recommend approval, you may want to qualify that by saying that the 0-foot setback applies to the existing building
Building.
only.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd be willing to make that motion to approve the request as presented, but it include the setback is for the building area only.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None being said, motion approved. And we'll go, next item is item 4 for staff report. Anything?
I think typically the staff report is intended to review previous actions, by the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and the last A meeting was back in March of 2014. It was at that time that we considered the request of Cathedral to construct a storage building. And they had requested a reduction in the setback. And Cathedral ended up withdrawing that particular request prior to the council meeting.
Sure. Any further business? With no further business, meeting adjourned.